Spring in Paris had a way of filling every corner with a kind of magic, subtle, almost imperceptible, yet impossible to ignore. The scent of freshly baked bread drifted from boulangeries tucked between narrow cobblestone streets, coffee beans roasted in tiny cafes, their aroma mingling with the faint, lingering scent of rain. The Seine gleamed like liquid silver beneath the morning sun, reflecting the delicate pastel facades of Haussmannian buildings. Clara stood at the railing of Pont Alexandre III, her camera dangling from her neck, fingers brushing the cold metal of the bridge. The camera was scratched, weathered, and familiar, the one Leon had given her years ago, with a note tucked inside that she had never fully understood at the time, for capturing what the heart cannot speak. Leon. His name hovered at the edge of her mind, unspoken for 10 years, yet impossible to forget. They had been inseparable once, two children wandering the hidden streets of Montmartre, their pockets full of chalk, sketches, and little secrets shared beneath the shade of linden trees. They had run barefoot along the river banks, stolen sips of lemonade from street vendors, and shared dreams too large for their small shoulders. And then the quarrel had come, a foolish argument, an unkind word, a door slammed in anger, and years of silence stretching out like the Paris streets themselves. Now she had returned. Clara, a photographer whose work had begun to gain recognition, was attending an exhibition curated by none other than Leon, now an accomplished, acclaimed artist. She hadn't expected to see him, and yet here she was, feeling a flutter in her chest, as if no time had passed at all. The wind tugged at her scarf, and she shivered, despite the warmth of the spring sun. Memories came unbidden, laughing as they tried to climb the steps of Sacré-Cœur, racing through the Jardin des Tuileries, while the fountain sprayed them with icy water, lying on the grass of the Luxembourg Gardens and whispering their dreams to the clouds. The city was unchanged, but they were no longer children. And yet, looking across the Seine, she felt the old bond awaken like a spark in the dark. She adjusted the camera, as if framing the city might give her courage to face the ghost of her past. The Pont Alexandre III gleamed with gilded statues, winged horses frozen in mid-gallop, cherubims peeking down at the water, and the intricate lampposts that had always seemed too grand for anything real. And yet, here she was, real enough to feel the rapid beat of her own heart, waiting for a moment she wasn't sure would come. Clara's thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice behind her. "You're still drawn to the bridges, I see." Her heart leapt. She turned slowly, half expecting to see a stranger. Instead, there he was, Leon, taller than she remembered, his dark hair slightly streaked with silver, eyes that held the same mischievous glint as they had all those years ago. He smiled, small, quiet, but enough to make her breath catch. "Leon," she whispered, the word tasting like a secret. He stepped closer, and for a moment, the city, the traffic, the tourists crossing the bridge, all of it vanished. There was only him, the wind in her hair, the soft gurgle of the Seine, and the echo of a childhood that seemed both distant and painfully near. "You haven't changed much," he said, though his gaze lingered on her camera, on her hands, on the way she held herself. "And you," she replied, struggling to keep her voice steady, "still paint ghosts." He chuckled, the sound low and familiar. "Only the ones worth remembering."
The gallery in Le Marais buzzed with quiet conversation, the soft clink of champagne glasses and the gentle hum of footsteps across polished hardwood floors. The walls were lined with Léon's paintings, each one a fragment of memory, a whisper of emotion captured in shadow and light. Fog-laden streets, rain-slicked alleyways, and figures that seemed to emerge from mist, and always, somewhere in the background, a woman with a camera. Clara froze. Her heart skipped. She recognized herself instantly. Not in exact likeness, but in essence, the tilt of the head, the way she held her camera, the way her eyes caught the light. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her own camera, and for a moment she felt like a child again, caught in the gaze of someone who had always known her more than she had known herself. "Is it true," a voice said, warm and familiar, "that the inspiration behind these works is you?" She turned. There he was, Léon, standing across the gallery, slightly taller, slightly older, yet exactly as she remembered. His dark eyes held the same spark of mischief and curiosity, the same intensity that had once made her heart race. "Léon," she breathed, half laughing, half in disbelief, "I didn't expect this." "Neither did I," he admitted softly, "but sometimes the world conspires in strange ways." He stepped closer, and for a moment the crowd, the chatter, the murmurs of other visitors faded into silence. It was just the two of them, two souls tethered by memory, reunited by chance, surrounded by a city that had once witnessed their childhood adventures. Clara walked along the walls, her eyes tracing the brushstrokes. She paused in front of a painting, the familiar silhouette of a bridge under rain, a figure in the background holding a camera. She reached out, almost afraid to touch it. "You painted this after you left, didn't you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Léon's gaze softened. "I didn't know how to finish it until I saw you again, until I remembered what I'd lost." She swallowed hard, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "You remember everything, don't you? Every laugh, every argument, every long afternoon at the Jardin des Tuileries." "I never forgot," he admitted, "even when I tried, even when I painted ghosts to fill the emptiness." They moved through the gallery together, side by side, their conversation a blend of nostalgia and gentle teasing. Clara pointed out a small detail she had noticed, the way he had captured the reflection of street lamps in puddles, the subtle glow of lanterns on cobblestone streets. He smiled, pleased that she had noticed. For a brief moment, the years of distance, silence, and uncertainty melted away. The gallery became their private world, a cocoon where the past and present intertwined. Clara felt an electric pull toward him, a connection she had thought lost forever, now undeniable and alive. And as they lingered near a corner painting, a rainy street in Montmartre, shadows stretching long and soft, Clara realized that the city around them, with its bridges, cafes, and quiet alleyways, was more than a backdrop. It was a witness to something larger, a love that had survived time, distance, and the silent ache of absence. Léon glanced at her, a small questioning smile on his lips. "Do you want to see the studio?" Clara hesitated for a heartbeat. Then with a nod, she followed. And in that decision, she felt the first real flutter of hope, that perhaps some things in Paris, and in the heart, were meant to be rediscovered. The streets of Montmartre were alive with morning light and the subtle hum of the city waking up. The scent of freshly baked croissants mingled with the faint aroma of rain from the previous evening. Street artists were setting up their easels along the Place du Tertre, their canvases vibrant with color, capturing the whimsical spirit of Paris. Clara walked beside Léon, her camera swinging lightly at her side. The old familiarity of the streets brought back memories, the way they had once raced down these cobblestones as children, laughing uncontrollably, chasing each other between cafes and bakeries. "You always used to complain about my sense of direction," Clara said with a teasing smile. "And now I see. You're still hopelessly lost without your brushes and paints." Léon chuckled, the sound rich and warm. Perhaps, but I find my way when it matters. Right now I think I've found it. His eyes met hers, and for a moment the playful tone faded, replaced by something softer, something heavy with unspoken emotion. They arrived at a small iron gate tucked between two ivy-covered buildings. Leon pushed it open and led her up a narrow staircase to his studio, a loft that smelled of linseed oil, turpentine, and the faint aroma of old wood. Canvases leaned against every wall, some finished, others in various stages of creation. Brushes lay scattered across cables, and a single easel stood near the window, bathed in sunlight. Clara's gaze fell on an unfinished painting. The scene was unmistakable. The streets of Montmartre in rain, with a figure holding a camera. Her camera. She swallowed hard. Why haven't you finished this one?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Leon approached, standing beside her. "I couldn't, because I didn't know what your gaze would be like now. I didn't know if I'd ever see it again." Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. The weight of his words, the vulnerability in his voice, the raw honesty in his eyes, it all pressed against her heart, demanding a response she wasn't sure she was ready to give. I didn't expect to feel this," she confessed, glancing around the studio. "After 10 years, I thought the past was just memories. But being here, with you, it feels alive." Leon reached out, a hand hovering just above hers, hesitant, almost trembling. "It is alive," he said softly. "And it's waiting for us to remember, to decide, if we dare." They spent hours in the studio, talking, laughing, reminiscing. Clara admired his work, noticing the subtle details she had missed in the gallery, the way he captured reflections in puddles, the glow of street lamps on cobblestones, the fleeting expressions of strangers that felt intimately familiar. Each brushstroke seemed to speak directly to her, bridging the years of silence and distance. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden light through the tall windows, Clara felt an undeniable pull toward him. Their shoulders brushed, their hands nearly met on the table, and a spark flared, a reminder of the closeness they once shared, now transformed by time and longing. Outside, the city hummed softly. The distant bells of Sacré-Cœur rang in harmony with the rhythm of the streets, and the scent of evening bread drifted up from the boulangerie below. Clara realized that the world had not changed. Only they had. Grown into people capable of feeling this depth of connection. Leon stepped closer, his hand finally resting lightly on hers. "Clara," he whispered, "I've waited for this moment longer than I ever realized, and I don't want to wait any longer." Clara's breath caught. For a heartbeat, the studio, the city, the world outside all disappeared. Only the two of them remained, beneath the fading light of Montmartre, where past and present converged, and the possibility of something more, something beautiful and undeniable, lingered in the air between them. The warm glow of the cafe spilled onto the narrow street, inviting them inside from the cool spring evening. Café de l'Artiste was one of those Parisian gems that seemed frozen in time. Wooden chairs, marble tabletops, the soft clatter of cups and spoons, and the faint aroma of espresso and buttered croissant. A jazz record played softly in the background, mingling with the murmurs of other patrons. Clara Leon slid into a corner table, the world outside momentarily forgotten. She ordered a café au lait. He chose a black espresso.
The waitress, a petite woman with a kind smile, nodded knowingly, as if she sensed the reunion of two souls long separated. For a moment neither spoke. Clara traced the rim of her cup, letting her thoughts drift. How had they come back to this point, she wondered. Was it chance? Fate? Or something Paris had been holding for them all along? Finally, Leon broke the silence. "I always loved this cafe," he said, glancing around. "It smells like mornings we spent dreaming. Do you remember?" Clara smiled. "I remember. You always insisted on sitting by the window, claiming the light was perfect for sketching people passing by. And you would take photographs, capturing moments I could never paint," he replied, eyes meeting hers. There was a pause, heavy with unspoken words, a tension that neither dared name aloud. Their conversation wandered, like a river meandering through familiar streets. They spoke of art, of technique, of the way the Seine could be both a mirror and a storybook, the way Montmartre's shadows held secrets only certain eyes could see. "I sometimes think the city itself is alive," Clara said softly, "and it remembers us, every corner, every street, every rain-soaked alley." Leon nodded. "It does, and sometimes it nudges us back towards each other, subtly. A sketch, a photo, a bridge we once crossed together." Clara laughed quietly, the sound mingling with the soft jazz. "Do you really believe that?" she asked, leaning closer. "I do," he said simply, "and I believe we have a chance to make up for lost time." The words lingered, heavy and sweet. Clara's heart quickened. A chance. She had dreamed of this reunion, feared it, and now it was real. The cafe, the warm light, the quiet hum of the city, it all felt like a protective cocoon, shielding them from the rest of the world. Hours passed, unnoticed. They shared stories of heartbreak and triumph, of travels that changed them, and of moments that made them wonder if life could be more than it seemed. Leon spoke about the art with passion, describing the tiny details that brought a painting to life. Claire shared her photographs, the stories behind each captured moment. They found themselves laughing at shared memories, teasing each other like they had in childhood. And then, in a quiet moment, Leon's hand brushed against hers across the table. Neither pulled away. Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of fear and longing. She realized that the pull between them was no longer just memory or nostalgia. It was alive, tangible, and inevitable. Outside, the Parisian evening deepened. Lights flickered in shop windows, the scent of fresh bread drifted from nearby boulangerie, and the distant sound of an accordion drifted through the streets. Clara and Leon sat in that cafe, two friends reunited, two hearts beginning to remember the rhythm that had once bound them together. As they left the cafe stepping into the cool evening air, Clara felt a spark of something she had not felt in years. Hope, possibility, and the gentle thrill of love reigniting. She glanced at Leon, who was looking at her with a soft intensity that made her stomach flutter, and for the first time since their childhood quarrel, she allowed herself to imagine that, this time, the story could be different. The morning light in Paris was pale, almost hesitant, as if the city itself knew the weight of what was about to unfold. Clara wandered along the Seine, camera in hand, hoping the walk would calm the storm inside her. The bridges gleamed faintly in the soft sunlight, and the water reflected a pale shimmer of the awakening city. But even the beauty of Paris could not mask the unease pressing on her chest. Earlier, she had stumbled upon an article in a gallery magazine, a profile on Leon and his current exhibition. And there it was, casually mentioned, almost like a footnote in the story of his life, his fiancée. Clara's breath caught. She read the words again, as if seeing them twice might make them untrue. But the city, indifferent and luminous, offered no comfort. When she confronted him that evening, the weight of the city's lights seemed to press down on them both. They walked slowly through the narrow streets of Le Marais, the echo of their steps blending with distant laughter and the occasional bark of a dog. "Leon," Clara began, her voice tight, "I saw the article. You're engaged." He sighed, the sound heavy with regret. "I had to, Clara," he said, his tone almost pleading. "It's a path that opens doors. Art demands sacrifice. And love? Love doesn't always pay the bills." Clara stopped walking. She looked up at him, her eyes searching for something she wasn't sure she could forgive. "So all of this, us, it meant nothing?" "No!" His voice was firmer now, tinged with desperation. "It meant everything, everything. But I made choices I thought were necessary. And yet, standing here with you now, I realize that perhaps I was wrong." The city seemed to hold its breath around them. The old lampposts flickered, casting pools of golden light on wet cobblestones. Clara felt the old ache of longing, mixed with a fresh sting of betrayal. How could he have chosen duty over them? And yet here he was, in the flesh, looking at her with the intensity she had not forgotten. I don't know if I can just pretend none of this matters," Clara whispered. "I came here hoping for, I don't know, a reunion maybe, but now I feel like I'm stepping into a storm." Leon reached for her hand, hesitant but insistent. "I don't want you to step away, Clara. Not now. Not ever. I'm asking for a chance, even if it seems impossible." They continued walking, the evening turning into night, the Seine shimmering under the city lights. Clara's mind raced. Memories of their childhood, their laughter, the stolen moments of joy and connection clashed with the reality of his engagement. Could she trust him again? Could they navigate the complicated web of their lives without shattering everything? As they reached a quiet bridge, the city lights reflecting like scattered diamonds in the water, Clara allowed herself a small, fragile hope. Perhaps love, patient and true, could survive obstacles, misunderstandings, and years of separation. Perhaps Paris, with its bridges and hidden streets, had brought them together for a reason. She glanced at Leon, whose eyes reflected the shimmering water below, and felt the spark of something undeniable. "I don't know what comes next," she admitted, "but I know I can't walk away. Not yet." Leon squeezed her hand gently, a silent promise that whatever storms lay ahead, they would face them together. And for the first time in years, Clara felt the thrill of possibility, the hope that even shadows of the past could not extinguish a love long in waiting.